Round 5. This time not a boy, but 22 years old guy, rated 2352. I played black, d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f3, a6, Yanovsky variation, which is popular nowadays. The idea is to take the pawn on c4 and to support it with the b5 move. So c takes d5, e takes d5, knight c3, and h6. So one more pawn move. Not something I would recommend you to play. Also, like, this line is not that bad. Bishop f4, knight f6. The idea of h6 move, that in case of knight f6, there is, of course, there is bishop g5. So h6 is kind of preventing it, but wasting the time on this pawn move. So bishop f4, knight f6, e3, bishop d6, trading the bishop, but bishop e5 first. c6, protecting the d5 pawn. Bishop d3 castles, h3, preventing development of this bishop. Since this bishop is one of the main problems for black in many openings, like Caracan, French defense, Slav defense, the Queen's Gambit, Rook e8. The point is the idea that in case of castling, then we can take on e5 and then to create counterattack in the center by pushing c5. So that's why my opponent decided to take on d6, queen takes d6 castles. And yeah, here it's better, probably it's better to play just something like maybe queen e7 with idea of knight e4. While I decided to play bishop e6, queen c2, knight d7, knight a4, knight e4. Capture on e4 is not possible at all. In this case, we just take queen e4 and let's say any discovered attack, bishop c4. In the worst case, it would be bishop takes h3 or bishop a2 or bishop b3. b4. I cannot take the pawn. I can, but it's nothing good for me. Then white grabs the b7 pawn. So that's why I played bishop f5, knight c5. I didn't really want to take on c5, even though later I had to do that. But knight c5, it's always about b takes c5. So first I played rook a b8, rook fc1, rook e7. Kind of useful move, maybe potentially protecting the b7 pawn and also thinking about doubling the rooks on the e file at some point. So a4, and here I didn't really like b5, or like maybe taking on d7 first and then b5. So I decided just to take on c5 myself, b takes c5, queen f6. Threatening to take on h3. Yeah, there is a problem with the b7 pawn, but I thought that I will create some activity on the king side, so distracting him from the b7 pawn, and also in the worst case I can play rook e8 and then bishop c8, just protecting the pawn. So knight e5, queen g5, threatening bishop takes h3, knight f3, queen f6, knight e5, queen g5, and g4. Here I wasn't sure, like I also thought, I thought myself about deviating. Let's say after knight f3 I could have played queen h5, and but I decided first to give him a chance to deviate, and this is what he did. But g4 is a responsible move. There is a threat of f4 or knight f3 attacking the queen and taking the bishop on f5, so that's why I'm forced to play bishop h7, king h2, queen h4, attacking the f2 pawn, and here I have created a cheap threat, a cheap trick. And rook a2. So here it is already like a serious level. But if you would like to improve your chess and want to train your, let's say, calculation skill, then you can pause this video, take 5-10 minutes and think, since black is close to win this game. And here I was so excited that I spent just 5 minutes and went for the move. Just exactly when I did the move, I realized that he has a defense. So I went for knight g5, bishop takes h7. This is probably what he blundered, that I can play king h8. The point is that queen h3 and followed by rook takes e5 with knight f3 is coming. And what I blundered, that he has a nice defense, which I immediately saw when I played knight g5. And once again, I offer you to find this defense, not an obvious one. And by the way, it is not f3, not f4 moves. Can you find it? So what I blundered is rook h1 move. Wow. And now queen h3, there is king g1. But the main idea was of course about rook takes e5, but in this case white is not obliged to take the rook. He can simply move his king to g2, and now it's clear what was the point about placing the rook to h1. The h3 pawn is protected now. And now let's get back to the knight g5 move. The right move order was about starting with rook takes e5, d takes e5, knight g5, bishop takes h7, king h8, and the only move for white here not to lose immediately is f4. Then we have queen takes h3, king g1, queen takes e3, grabbing another pawn, king h1, and here simply knight h7. And white has a problem with these 3 pawns. He cannot protect all of them at the same time. Also, for example, his queen should protect the rook. So the best move here is rook f1, then queen h3, king g1 protecting the rook, queen take g4, queen g2, and let's say removing this queen somewhere, let's say queen f5. Black has 3 pawns for the exchange and the white king is weak. Also these pawns are kind of weak, knight f8, knight e6. So clearly it's like good chances for black to play for a win. While in the game as well, I was really excited about his blunder. I didn't like, I hoped for that, but I didn't expect him to blunder. And that's why I was so excited. I spent just 5 minutes and like actually I didn't want to spend time at all. I just wanted to go for knight g5. Of course I have calculated rook takes e5, but I decided white to take on e5 immediately if I can do that later. A mistake. So rook e5, king g2, rook e7, and here also white is just incredibly lucky that he's just in time to protect everything. And for example, I cannot even play h5. I can play h5, but h5 is not even a threat. He can do whatever. Since after h take g4, h take g4, it will be a pin on the h file. So rook e8. I had some ideas and hopes about taking on e3, sacrificing my rook at some point. Another my idea was about rook e6, rook f6, and then rook f3, but queen c1 was a cold shower, g6, rook e2, overprotecting the e3 pawn, and thinking about playing f4. Also, one of the ideas is queen e1. So knight e6, queen e1, queen f6, h4. Here I like, yeah, the problem that in case of f5 he plays f4, kicking away my queen. So I played queen f6. I still had some hopes about like maybe sacrificing on d4, but actually unfortunately nothing worked. So That's why it was. And of course, you see, the problem was that instead of continuing playing, starting from here, I was already concentrated, thinking, was rook e5 a winning move or not? So that's why I was quite upset. And here, okay, I didn't get like really chances. Let's say I didn't get chances to lose, but it was already about like white is better here. White is better, but also it's not that clear what he gonna do. So that's why it was just repetition, and we agreed for a draw. Maybe white could have continued to play somehow, but his king is also not that great. So I don't really think that I could lose this position. A disappointing result, especially since like I prepared this trick by playing queen h4, and also I was considering to like, should I start with rook e5 or I should go for knight g5, and especially also that once I played knight g5, I immediately realized that he has a defense which is rook h1 followed by king g2.